Well, hello, and welcome back. For those of you that are joining in live on YouTube or joining in on the live stream, head on over to YouTube if you're not. There's a link in the description to that. That's where I've got the comments open for viewing. In fact, I need to refresh that window. Give me just 1 second here so I can get back to it. And then if you are not watching this live, also check the link in the description for the Beyond Code Bootcamp playlist, because that's where you're going to find the edited version of this if it ends up needing editing and all this garbage in the front cut out. So give me just 1 second here to make sure that I am tuned in. All right, cool. I've got the comments open in case we hit any of those. And with that, I'll go ahead and get started. Well, hello, and welcome back. So tonight, what we're going to talk about is nested subshells in Bash. Last time I talked about subshells, and I left out this part, so I wanted to make sure we hit it. If at any point you have that aha moment where this clicks for you or you learned something, please go ahead and give it a like and leave a timecode comment down in the description below about what it was that worked for you. Now with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and head back over to our shell here. Good, that is up. Oh, and of course, as always, I forget this too often, head over to just.github.com and make yourself some notes so that you don't forget and you can put it on your blog and build up your resume that way. So, previously, I showed that you could just print out a string. I'll put a new line at the end of there so that it looks nice. And we can capture this in a subshell, which is when we put a double quote, $, parenthesis, and then end, parenthesis, end, double quote. So the subshell part are those three characters there and these two characters here. And then the output doesn't go out to the screen, but it stays in the variable. So far, so good. And then just as a recap, we have, we got the output there. If I want to add that new line back, there we are. Okay, so no surprises there, but here's what gets kind of weird, and I put this into the description. First of all, if you don't assign it to a variable, then Bash will take this as its first argument, which would be the command that it's supposed to run. So what do you think happens if we hit enter right now? You don't have to think about it too hard. I'm going to show you. We get an error. Hello, command not found. So it's the same as if I had typed out hello. So we need to capture that output, otherwise it gets evaluated as a command. So I'll go back to putting that output out. Actually, you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to do a printf of the output of our output. Now this is going to look weird. Let me put the new line on the outside there now. So what is this going to do? It prints hello, because on the inside, we've got the string hello, and then that's being printed, but it's being captured. And on the outside, we're printing what we captured. So we're printing hello again. And we can go deeper with this. We can put another double quote and then put in another printf and then have our hello and then close the parentheses. And then we can go yet again and put another double quote, another printf, close the parentheses, close the quote, and so on and so forth. Now, this is not of any practical value, but what I'm trying to show here is that you can have multiple nested bash commands. So when we do a subshell, it's as if we're running a script. So this would be more or less equivalent to if we had, let's say we have script1.sh, and let's say that script1 calls script2.sh, and let's say that script2 calls script3.sh, and let's say that script3 prints out hello. Oops. Like so. If we call script 1, it calls script 2, which calls script 3, which calls printf and prints out hello. So when you do a subshell, it's almost the same as if one bash file was running another bash file. And with this being the case, it can be kind of confusing to see you've got a double quote here, a double quote here. Well, doesn't this double quote end that double quote? It doesn't. Because when you use a subshell, it's as if it's its own separate file. So as far as this quote out here is concerned, it can't see this quote. Because the way this actually works is that the very first thing that happens is that this runs. And all that's left over is the string hello after that runs. And then this runs. And all that's left over after it runs is the string hello. And then this runs, and all that's left over is the string hello. And then this runs, and all that's left over is the string hello, and then a /n. So as far as Bash is concerned, when it goes to run this, it never actually well, it does see it, but it's as if it doesn't even see that quote there, because the one that's in the middle is the one that actually is getting its result first. Now I'm kind of curious because I think, yes, it does. Okay, so it does actually, I lied a little bit. It does actually run the one that's on the outside first, but the result is the way that I described. The result is not evaluated until the center and that pops back out. Anyway, this turns out to be very useful to understand. There are situations where this comes into play. So I want you to be aware that subshells can be nested, and that when you have pretty much any time you're using a $, or there are cases where you can use parentheses and brackets without $signs, but anytime that you're using a $, anything that's inside of it kind of lives in its own world. For example, it is also possible to do this. Let's say that we had a variable that is my text. It is possible to put the default value of that variable. We haven't talked about default values yet. Don't worry about that. But it is possible to put the default value of that variable as the default value of, let's say, another variable, which then has, and so on and so forth. And we could put this as a command. Let's put our printf here. So what would happen is this would get run, and, we need to put quotes around that actually. So this would get run, and the value hello would become the default value of my text2 if my text2 doesn't already have a value. And then that whole bit would become hello, which would mean that it would become the default value of my text if my text did not already have a value. This is basically saying, if my text has a value, use that value. Otherwise, use the other thing. I'll talk more about this later, but that's what that :- does, is it says you either use the value or here's a default value to use if there's no value given. And all that goes back to the printf. So if I want to put the, let me put a /n in there so we can print it out. There we are. All right. So hopefully that was useful. We are going to be using this later on. We'll try to avoid nesting things this deeply, but it does come up on occasion, so I wanted you to be aware of it. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe, ring the bell, and be sure to check out the description, because whether you want to follow the live channel, where I make all the mistakes and goofos and then edit it afterwards, or if you want to follow the bit that's been edited, pick the channel that you want to follow. And I would really love to know, what questions do you have about this? What was confusing? What did I not explain well? Leave that in the comments below, or any other technical questions that you have, and I will enjoy getting back to you about it. That said, Adios.